I'm going out on a 10-day meditation retreat tomorrow, and it's a silent retreat. No phone, no talking, no writing, no music, no listening to podcasts, no books, nothing basically except the contents of my own mind. And I am honestly thrilled, and I am nervous, and I'm excited. So I wanted to film this video to share a little bit of why on earth would I lock myself away for 10 days with no connection to the outside world whatsoever. So I find that in my life, I feel quite constantly, not necessarily bombarded, but definitely flooded with messages. Like there's social media, there is the news, there's music, podcasts, there's the hustle and bustle of my business life and work, and all of these things going on around me all the time that seem to demand my attention constantly. And what I have found when I'm out in nature, for example, is I feel incredibly at peace when I have those extended periods of solitude. And that's something I have been missing in my life for the longest time. And I find great pleasure in staying alone with my own thoughts for extended periods of time. And I am really looking forward to that. So that's one of the things that I hope to have in this retreat, extended periods of solitude. Then the other thing that has been lacking lately or throughout a big part of my life is focus. I often get distracted and do other things than what I was planning to do. And this is causing me quite a lot of suffering unnecessarily. So what is this meditation retreat? It's called Vipassana. And Vipassana is, it's not a cult, it's not a religion. It's actually a meditation tradition that's millennia old, at least thousands of years old. It was resurfaced by Siddhartha Gautama, aka the Buddha. But as I said, it's not linked to any kind of a belief system. Quite the contrary, you could even say that it's the opposite of belief systems. It's actually an extended period of time where you're only focusing on the contents of your own mind. You're paying attention only to what you notice, what you see, what you think, what you hear, what you feel. And you could say that it's a time where you examine your beliefs instead of adopting new beliefs. You examine what you have in your system and you see what serves you and what doesn't. And that's what I'm really curious about. So the third thing besides solitude and focus is instead of having this anxiety and this sense of reacting to things in ways that I don't want to, like arguments or avoiding certain conversations or just avoiding taking some actions that would be really good for me. For example, approaching someone I find very attractive. I want more self-connection. And what better way to do that than pay attention to your state for 10 days straight. So those are the surface level reasons why I chose to do this now. And of course there's the obvious factor that I can do this. I have the opportunity. I don't have any family commitments, any work commitments that I would need to upkeep for those 10 days. So in that sense, I am privileged to have this opportunity. But ultimately, what I want out of this is I have a deep-seated longing for a family. I want my own kids. I want a family. I want to find a partner that I can build a family with. And this is one of my ways to become a better man for my future partner and kids, so I can stay better present both to myself and to my loved ones. And that is a big deal for me. So what I expect to experience during that 10 days, well, first of all, I expect it to be painful. I mean, sitting still for hours on end, and obviously getting bored, getting all sorts of agony and anguish. I mean, the hustle and bustle of the mind doesn't go away when I choose to do it. It takes time. So I fully expect to be in anguish and agony for big chunks of the retreat. But then I also expect to have moments of bliss and this kind of realization that when the mind calms down and quiets, it settles into a state of happiness, which is something I have first of all experienced when I'm out in nature and I don't have anything in particular to do. But mostly this is what people tell me who have gone through a Vipassana retreat, that they find this pleasure in just being aware, being alive, breathing, that's not dependent on any outside factors or anything. And that's something that I want to connect to as well. So, yeah, I expect to find that comfort and discomfort, learn to focus more. I mean, the first part of Vipassana is just for several days, just practicing your ability to focus. And then we start using that focus to scan whatever is actually going on in our bodies, so we have more capacity to notice the workings of our mind. And finally, what I expect to happen, or what I hope to happen during that 10 days, is I hope to become more aware of some of the reactive thought patterns. Like everyone has these reactive thought patterns. We go through experiences in early childhood, for example, or in our adolescence, where we learn, let's say, for example, that, well, I'm having a hard time coming up with a good example, but some sort of event happens and we learn. Let's say, okay, I'm still racking my brain to find an example. Let me think about my own life. What I hope to get rid of. Well, I have this reaction whenever I meet someone I find interesting. I have this you call it people pleasing. I dislike that term, but what happens is I lose connection with myself, and I get a little bit afraid and anxious and nervous, and my mind goes to thinking, trying to come up with ways to what to say or what to do so that person would like me more. And that's an example of a reactive pattern of thinking that is in me, that I want to get more aware of and to dissolve that more, so I can better stay connected with myself and act true to my interests and needs and values, even when I'm interacting with people I find attractive or interesting. Yeah, I hope to become, well, I don't know. I hope it will be transformative. I hope it will be rewarding until in the end. And I might give you an update later on how it was for me. Okay, cheers. Oh, and one thing I still want to say. I hope this has sparked some interest, some curiosity to explore your own thinking patterns, your own ways of reacting, and maybe spark a curiosity for Vipassana in general. or other ways of exploring yourself, your mind, because ultimately that's the only thing we have. It's the one thing that filters everything you experience in this world. Everything goes through your mind. So if you're not aware of how your mind works, that's like looking at the world through a dirty window and you don't even realize it's dirty, and you don't see things and you don't experience things. And in my case, for example, I notice when I'm afraid of doing something for my business, for example, I don't see the opportunities that present themselves in my life. And that's just one of the reasons, and one of the examples of what happens when you scrape that window clean and you actually see what's out there. Much easier to stay present, much easier to notice opportunities, and much easier to laugh about it when your mind does things to you that you find uncomfortable or displeasing. So, yeah, hope this has been of some help, and talk to you later.